Hey everybody, welcome to Heart with Dan and Angela.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, we're looking forward to just sharing with you a little bit tonight. We want to talk about a subject that we think is really, really important right now. You know, me and Angela were talking about it earlier. It was like when we were in our former religion. You guys know I was Jehovah's Witness 40 years, and Angela's
Worldwide Church of God.
Worldwide Church of God. And I don't know about you, but it felt like, and I'm sure Angela did too. It felt like we were on a treadmill.
Yeah.
And the treadmill wouldn't stop. I don't know if you ever been on a treadmill, but once you turn it up and you get on there and you go like this, that's kind of how Watchtower had us. You got so many hours, you got talks, you got meetings, you got preparation for meetings, talks, assemblies. And it was like, being an Amway or something, where you had to go, and you had to perform and had to ask the elders, am I doing okay? Yeah, you're doing great. Keep up the good work. Keep those family going. Keep the family Bible studies going. Keep the service going, And what's interesting is me and Angela were talking about yesterday how that attitude of running and continuing to having to perform follows us after the Watchtower. I know, like for me, I got out of the Watchtower and I felt like, man, I got 40 years to catch up. And I started reading every book. I was at Barnes and Noble every night, reading everything I could on success, reading all the personality journals, trying to figure out who I was so that I could succeed. Pushing. I wanted a new car. I wanted a house. I was going to be in the world now, right? So I had to catch up. But what we realized is that it has to be a balancing point. There has to be a point where we step back a minute and go, whoa, just sort of slow down.
And before you go into that department, Dan, I just want to talk about the fact that in our homes, I don't know about you, but in my family home, it was like you're valued if and when you perform and to the level that you perform. And just me by myself without my production, without what I produce, I was nothing to them. You're valued, loved as much as they're able to love you based on how much you can get done for them. And producing is all important thing. So, I was never loved for me, just who I am. Like, I almost feel like that if I was nothing but a person that could do nothing but be taken care of for some reason, that I wouldn't be valued at all, because of the religion that we grew up in. And it should not be that way.
No.
We should be valuable. We should be able to value ourselves for, not getting anything done in a given day. So I still have trouble with this in this department. And I know Dan does too, where if we don't get a lot done in a day, we don't feel good about ourselves.
Right. I used to be the best employee because I didn't know when to stop. I would work all past all the hours. I would go. Come on, guys. I was a manager for these wood finishing companies. And I was like, let's go. Let's do one more kitchen. And the people I was wearing out, I was wearing myself out, and they were giving me things, like nice homes. I mean, not giving them to me, but making it to where I could afford nice homes. But I was so driven. It was almost killing me. It was like, man, I can't do anymore. They wanted me to just keep going.
Yes.
But it doesn't end there though. In your house, right? Me and Angela work in a lot of houses, and what does everybody has to do? They look at the next door neighbor and they say, oh man, they got granite, they got silestone, they got wood floors, they got waterproof wood floors, they got new sinks, they got the drop down front sinks, they got carpet. And guys, I'm telling you, it can run you ragged.
Yeah.
So me and Angela wanted to talk tonight. Angela's got a favorite book she read to me one time.
So,
and go ahead and tell them a little bit about
this is my book, Awakening from Unconscious Resentment. I already did it the wrong way. And in this chapter 12, it talks about this lady. Her name is Debra Mae White. And she wrote a book called Permission to Rest.
Think about that. Permission to Rest. And I just want to say something real quick. The book totally blew me away. I said, when I first heard it, I said, permission to rest? What do you mean rest? You mean like stop? You mean like, put on the brakes and do nothing and not make stuff happen? And it's interesting what happened in this book. More happened resting. But anyway, I'll let Angela tell you about it.
It's really
great. It's an amazing book.
What happened?
What's the name of the book again?
So it's called, again, Permission to Rest, and then : How to Cultivate a Life of Self-Care, Rejuvenation, and Nurturing our spirit man. And so that's White, 2014. So she was so cool. So I'll just do it the best I can in my version. Okay. Yes. So this is what she found. When things get out of alignment, she would know it. She figured this out just because she felt like God showed her this. And it really, really worked for her very, very well. When things got out of balance, things would start going wrong. Like she would get a flat tire, like she'd have a couple different customers in a row that would cancel, maybe some more that didn't pay when they're supposed to be paying. They would get sick. Weird things like that would begin to happen. And then right when those things would happen, boom, 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 then they would realize that, oh, we're out of balance. We need to stop everything and just cool or just go take a little trip, go maybe on vacation for a week. Even when you think to yourself, yeah, but we need the money right now. Right now we're a little low on money. We need to get busy. We need to market. We need to this. She wrote all this in her book, and this is what you think you need to do.
And how did she come across this information? Was it like trial and error? Did she just discover?
No, she discovered it. She
Okay.
discovered it. So she discovered that when they would just stop, when that would happen, and just go and take a break and trust God, that and in other words, remembering who is in charge of my finances, who is supplying my need, who is my supplier, and it's God for them. For them, it's God. And so if I get out of balance, it means I'm trusting myself to get what I need, and I don't need God. I'm in charge. But see, she realized that's out of balance. And so she would rest herself mentally, emotionally, not just physically, but in every way. She found if she rested physically, that she'd also begin to rest mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And then she would get fed, go back. And then when she got home, this is the weirdest thing, what she said, everything would be just crazy going on. She found that when she would just stop, taking time off, a short vacation, that when she got home, it was not unusual for thousands of dollars to show up unexpectedly in her mailbox, or many clients calling with business when she honored her need, listened to the clues to stop and rest and get back into balance. She understood that the problems, bad luck, and business slowdowns were her sign from God to do exactly that. Stop everything, trust God fully, and surrender to Him. She also came to realize that everything comes from God, and that if she took the time to get back into balance and remember where her business and provision comes from, God showed up to bless abundantly, and the flow began again without fail. Without fail, she said.
I love that.
So she said this. This is a quote from her. Rest, Debra Mae tells us, is more than just getting more sleep. It's a way of life. Rest is about rejuvenation. True rest feeds you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, as well as physically. Rest is a state of being, linking body, emotion, mind, and spirit in a way that renders you an open vessel for receiving nurturance and inspiration. So not only did Debra see everything flow monetarily when she would see the signs and then stop everything, she also allowed herself to become an open vessel to receive nurturance and even inspiration from God, which further blessed her life and business. And so by taking care of their need to stop and rest physically, she and her husband began to learn to enter God's rest spiritually as well. So it went hand in hand. So boy, is this foreign to me and Dan. I mean, my dad, if anything would go a little bit wrong, like maybe that lady said something went wrong, my dad would think, oh my gosh, I'm cursed by God. I broke the Sabbath day. Now for us, I know Jehovah's Witnesses didn't keep Saturday, but let's just say that you didn't go out door to door like you were supposed to. You were, I don't know,
withholding His blessing.
Yeah, he's not blessing you. Now for my dad, he'd freak out. God's cursing us because I had to work into the sundown, which is a day, part of the rest. And now God's cursing us, and that's why this bad thing happened. And this would permeate everything. So fearful of God. I mean, if you're fearful of God, you're certainly not going to be thinking that God is the one who's blessing and providing my provision. You're going to think that I'm providing my provision, and God out there is just going to be mad at me if I don't do things perfectly, if I don't market enough, and I don't get out there and make those calls, if I don't go door to door, then he's going to be mad at me, and bad luck will happen to me. And I'll know that God's mad because bad luck's happening to me. Instead of this idea that God actually is my provider, and the lover of my soul and my mind.
You can really trust that.
Yeah, and really trust and really surrender that I know where my supply comes from. And somehow God sees that heart and honors that you trust Him completely and rely on Him completely. And you don't look to yourself to provide for you
And sometimes you do.
Yeah, you do, but it's
You know,
not
you
like
do both, but you don't. We're talking about being out of balance here.
right, really being out of balance where you're push, 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 shove, 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 like your dad, like Dan just said.
Yeah.
Work, boy, I'll tell you, those right bosses that he would find because they knew how to work Dan to the bone, and he would give
Oh,
everything
they would
he
love me.
had.
Everything I had and more, and even what I didn't have, I'd give.
Yeah.
And then they'd put me on salary to where you had a cap on your money, but it was a good cap. So you'd think I got to work extra hard to keep this cap.
Yeah, that
And
was what was
so,
bad about it in a way too,
but
because
I want to share, just a couple of things that happened regarding that book that was very interesting. Me and Angela were in the middle of winter one time. You remember that?
oh yeah,
And it was like a blizzard outside. And of course, in our jobs where we go into people's houses, they do not want to have their houses open in the winter, opening the doors and us in there spraying cabinets with lacquer and all this kind of stuff. So we sat down one day and we just did like the book said. We just relaxed and, got a cup of coffee and relaxed, looked out the window, and we looked at each other and we said, we ought to make some DVDs. And we did. We drew up a little cover. We sent them off to a guy and said, make these look kind of fancy. And he sent them back and we put them in some DVD boxes. And we did a short little video and says, hey, we got our new DVDs out. And we ended up selling those DVDs for how many years, would you say?
Years.
And the DVDs were responsible for us moving to Boise.
And staying here.
They
Being able
paid
to stay here.
for that trip. They were called Dr. Dan Trade Secrets. And that came from a very relaxed place, from a place of being still and knowing that God is and God is for me, right? And in that moment, we created this beautiful 3 DVD set. And it paid for us. It paid for some of our travels. It paid our rent. It paid so many things, didn't it?
It was. And it was a creative idea that came from, sitting still and being quiet instead of freaking out and thinking you got to go, 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 do, push, 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 shove, 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 just allowing and trusting. And then creativity came when we had need. And so we got busy putting that wonderful creative idea into place. And it was a wonderful blessing for us.
Yep.
We didn't expect it either because they said that you don't know if somebody really wants it until you kind of put it out there and just test the market. So we didn't even actually have the DVD made yet, but we had the case for it and the cover and the words on it and the whole thing. So sure enough, everybody wanted it. So boom, we got it done and got it sent out. And it was really, really cool.
It was
really,
cool.
really
And
cool.
we even started a training institute where the DVDs, they would buy those, but then they would say, well, how much does it cost for you to actually come out here and train us? Yeah. And that led to another income stream, but it came from more stillness than making it happen. Right. And I want to tell them the one big one, the probably the biggest one we have where this lady says permission to rest was one day we were scrambling, we were trying to make some money. We were doing touch up. We were doing little things. And I just got with a really abusive guy that was really abusive. He liked to cuss me out and he'd say, you didn't do this. You didn't, and he went on and on. And then he'd go, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. You're a good man. You're the, and it was like this every time. And I thought, I can't do this anymore. So I looked and I thought, I really need the job. But then I looked and I said, but I can't take the abuse. And so I said, I'm not going to do it. So I did what this lady said, which was permission to rest. And you remember what I did? I went down to the lake. I told Angela, I said, I'm going to the lake. I'm just going to the lake. Permission to rest, right? I'm going to throw my pole out and I'm not going to think about nothing. And I'm just going to sit by the water and relax. And that's what I did. So while I was sitting there,
we really needed the money right at this point.
We really needed the money, and I couldn't afford to let probably if another day or two went by, I went back and did a little bit of work for him. But I threw my pole out in the water, and I was sitting by the edge, and the phone rings, and a young guy answered it. I think he's about 22.
No, he was calling. Yeah, he was calling.
About 22 or 23, and he goes, "Hey, dude, how's it going, man?" And I said, "Hey, I'm doing good. What you got?" And he says, "Oh, hey, man, I got a kitchen that needs to be refinished." And I said, "Okay." And he says, come on out and check it out. And I said, okay, but he sounded kind of young. And I was like, oh, geez, I threw my pole back. And so anyway, me and Angela went out there, and it was this young guy, but he had a very wealthy wife. He was like a cougar. He was a young guy with, an older woman. And anyway, I went out there and we did not want to do the job. You remember? Yeah, it was a hard job. It was
we didn't really have the best equipment to be doing it either. And so that made us a little nervous. And
Yeah.
so we just thought, well, we'll just put it to a really high price. So they'll say, forget it, goodbye. And
Yeah, so normally like a kitchen like that would be between 1,800 and 2,500, which is what we would charge when we
at
first
that
started
time, yeah.
at that time, right, for a kitchen. So me and Angela looked at each other and we said, man, we don't want to do this. It's whitewash, it's hard, and it's this and that. I said, let's just put it so high and just run and get out of here.
It was a white pickly wash wood, and they wanted to make it look like, wanted us to
Wood
make it
tone.
look like wood, like real wood again. And that's really hard because that white tends to want to come through the wood. So it's really tricky to get it to look right. So anyway, Dan is like, I don't know.
So we just jacked the price up and it was like $6,500,
That's what we said.
6,500.
Yeah.
And the kid goes, all right, man, let me go ask my old lady, and he comes down and he comes back with a check for the whole amount,
Right.
$6,500.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
In
okay.
advance.
I'm like, all right, Angela, looks like we're doing a kitchen. So we went in there. Now, remember, what did I do right before this? I went down to the lake and said, I'm going fishing. I don't care. I'm just going to take a break. I'm going to get my mind off all of this, get back into, hey, I can relax, God's with me,
yeah.
gratitude.
Trust that God is with you.
Get back that homeostasis, that peace. And so anyway, we finished the kitchen and they just loved it. They just loved it. And the kid looked at me, and this is a big house, really big house. And he says, you're going to do my whole house, all these rooms. And I mean, it was like,
we did the weirdest stuff in there. We did this, she had this really funny looking desk. It looked like a guitar almost. And she wanted us to heavily distress it.
Ferrari red.
And she wanted it to be painted red and then black and then rubbed through.
Crackle lacquer.
And then it was all distressed really heavily duty and chaining and chunks and all this. Anyway, it looked really, really cool. And then she wanted like a leather look down in her basement in the bar area. So we did this. She wanted bamboo on the bar area. So we made it
Imitation
like
bamboo look on.
Yeah, oh man.
And so these rooms were like 6,500 to 8,500 a piece. I mean, we started going up a little bit, and
the creativity difficulty.
And so it was like, how much this room? 85. How much this room?
Okay,
13.
let's stop on
Yeah.
this. Okay,
And it went on
okay.
all the way to 20,000 we made doing a
One
stairwell
time,
in a
One
week.
time.
And so anyway, we got two of those jobs, two of those houses identically the same.
Yeah.
The house right after it, the guy was the same way, very wealthy oil man, very
Okay, that's
rich.
good. Oh,
I
this
know,
is good.
but I'm just saying he said the same thing, and he wanted his whole house done. He replaced everything else in there, but the cabinets.
Yeah.
And so it was another great thing. So anyway, that's real. What that lady's saying is very real. Sometimes we got to just pull back. Sometimes we got to put it in park, neutral, whatever. We got to stop the car from going forward, and we got to sit back, reconnect to the source of our supply. God is the source of our supply, and reconnect with that, sit with that, and just allow the Holy Spirit to come in and guide us and direct us.
Yes.
Because you can chase your tail. You can just go in a circle and chase your tail. You've seen dogs do that, where they keep going round and round and round and round, and they don't stop, and they just get dizzy. And that's what you can end up doing.
Yeah. And it's so easy to slip into the worrying about money thing, so easy. And to think that you're the one who's got to do everything to make everything happen. But, the better that we do, the much, much better when we learn to just don't push, don't shove, don't force, don't worry. Just try to just remember who's in charge of my money and who loves me and who's my provider. And it's hard though, especially for men, isn't it, Dana?
Yeah. Well, men want to be the provider. They want to be one step ahead. We don't like to feel like we're sinking. We're like, because we're the provider. We want to take care of our beautiful wives, and we want to say, hey, we got that next job, and everything's going to be okay. And so when when you're kind of out there, and the next job's not showing up, and and maybe it's a few weeks, and things aren't moving and stuff like that. Sometimes, like the book says, we got to stop. Because I've had times where Angela could tell you, I have worked on the website. I went down and went over my buddies and said, hey, dude, we got to make a coupon. We got to do this. We got to give 25% off. We got to do this. We got to do that. And he's like, it's done, easily done. And he'd work on the website and do this and do that. And I remember one time he got my website all done and got everything all up and running. And we were all excited. And we didn't get a call for like a week. and there's a backside to the website. Do you remember that he didn't turn on?
Oh, right.
He didn't turn on I forget what it was called, the analytics or something. He didn't turn on the back side of the website where people could actually find you. There's two sides to a website. There's the front side and then there's the back side. He didn't make it public.
Oh, you didn't make it public.
He
That's
kept
what
it
it was.
private.
Yes.
And so I said, hey man,
Yes.
there's something wrong. Like nothing's happening,
Yeah.
we should be hearing something. Somebody
Mhm.
should say, hey. And anyway, he flicks the switch and then, we got a lot of work. But anyway, I have spent lots of time trying to market, do this, do that. And sometimes it still don't work, does it?
Right.
You work. So we just wanted to say, guys, you might be in that situation right now. Give yourself permission to rest, at least meditate, move a little slower, take it a little more easy. Just relax. God's got your back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, some people, okay, we do realize some people are struggling with trying to keep motivated. Okay, so this is not for everyone.
Right.
But for people who are trying to, I don't know, survive
Workaholics.
and think that you're the only one that you've got to get this stuff done. Well, guess what? We're trying to tell you that's not exactly the truth. As far as we see it, that's what we've experienced, that there is a God who loves to be given the opportunity to show what he can do to be a great provider. And we just relied on that truth, and that changes everything.
Yes.
And that's what we're here to tell you. And all you can do is just try it out, like these people did. When things get weird, the husband and wife both said, okay, there's the signs. Stop everything when it doesn't make sense to do this. This is what we need to do. And just showing God, I trust you. I'm out of balance. I know it. That's why this is happening. I trust you, Lord. I know this doesn't make sense, but I know that you will somehow make it up to us. And yes, he did. It was surprising.
Yep.
So how cool is it? You come back from a trip, and how many times have you gone on a trip and you come back and there's surprises of work and stuff, and different things have changed, and it's such big surprises. And so you take a break and see what happens. If you're pushing too hard, if you're not, well, ask for creativity. And then whatever motivation that you're given, whatever inspiration, that is what you need to get busy doing. So, and that will be blessed. So too lazy is also a problem, but
That's
anyway,
right.
For us, it's the other way around, but it's not the same for everyone. So anyway, I hope this helps.
Yeah.
And,
and it works. And just remember, there's nothing wrong with working hard, but workaholic will kill you. And there's a nice balance there. And when you find that balance, life will go smooth, things will work out, and even miracles. We found that the work that we found that when we took that rest, miracles happened. The same with this lady. She said sometimes she'd come home and there was thousands of dollars waiting for her.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere.
Right.
And the business would start picking up. And it's something about it, it's something about it. God knows what we need.
Yes, he does. And then beyond that, don't forget too, what we were talking about. The fact is that we were raised to think that we are nothing but human doings.
Yes.
And we're not just human doings.
Yeah.
We're human beings.
We were praised when we pioneered that extra month. We were praised. We were at the Kingdom Hall. They were like, yeah, Brother Clark, you did great. Ministerial servant. Oh yeah, Brother Clark. Elder, all this performance based.
It's never,
you know what I mean? We're so proud of him. He's adjusting the sound. He's reading the Watchtower. We're so you had this going on all the time. So it's no wonder we're conditioned, to be workaholics, most of us, what I mean?
Yeah, right. So anyway, we thought you'd enjoy a little talk about this.
Yeah, we just wanted to share that with you. We miss you guys.
Yes.
And we're going to be sharing some other things too. I've got a talk I'm working up about finding your gifts and pulling up your gifts so that you can use them. Let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in, because I think a lot of us, our gifts are buried, right?
Yeah, we weren't taught to discover those.
We weren't taught to discover them. They're buried.
It's going to end any minute, right?
Jesus said, you were given talents. What did you do with them? One guy buried him, remember? And he said, no good. Well, I think a lot of ours are buried under the identification. We identified so much with Watchtower that we really don't know who we are. We don't know our gifts. And so I want to do a talk on discovering your gifts and finding prosperity and abundance through those gifts. Because according to the Bible, according to what Jesus said, that when you find those gifts and you put them out, it said there's a return. every one of them had a little bit of return. One guy was 100-fold, another guy was, 75-fold or whatever, but they all had a return. So I want to do a talk on that and how we discovered some of our gifts and how we are putting those out and the blessings that they are to other people and to us at the same time.
Yeah.
So if you'd like something like that, let us know in the comments, and we look forward to making that.
It'll be fun.
All right, guys. Well, we love all you guys.
Okay. We do love you, and we wish you happy holidays.
Yes.
And we don't want to be offensive to anyone.
No.
I hope you don't mind. This is one of my Christmas trees. The little house is on the bottom. I usually have it all the way around.
Angela's pagan. I'm not.
These are little things I got from friends and my
Our
children,
family and kids and all that. It's all special.
And
The
look,
stuff
it's
that's on there.
Dan's. These are Dan's ornaments he had when I met him. These pretty blue ones. Anyway, Dan had that joy, and anyway, we just thought we'd share our Christmas tree a little bit. It's not the real one; it's a picture of it. But we thought we might enjoy it, and hopefully you're not offended. If so, write it in the comments. Tell us what you think, and
Christmas tree
cuss us
cut
out
down.
if you want to. All right.
All
We
right.
love you.
All right. We love you guys.
Have a good one.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you next time.
I don't know
Over and
how to
out.
Turn this thing off. Let's see if I can end it. There we go. And one more. See you later.
Bye.